over here. Getting older, put the glasses on. I want to first of all thank Josh Hoyt, Tara, and the entire team of the National Partnership for New Americans and the people who organized this conference. And my colleague, Congressman Cooper. You know, he's a blue dog. It means he's a conservative Democrat. But he's with immigrants, and he's for our integration in America. And so a special thank you, please, everybody, to our host here. Like a lot of you, I've had a bad couple of months. No, really, I have. And next week, I'll be surrounded by family for Christmas. And we'll take stock of all of the things for which we're thankful. But looking around the stage and looking around the room, I feel it's Christmas because I'm already surrounded by family. Not many members of Congress get to be part of a movement. Not many help to organize the nation for genuine, progressive social change. For that privilege, I want to thank all of you in this room, because working together, we are doing the work that matters. I've traveled with you to meet with farm workers in Oregon and Washington, and yes, even in Florida and South Carolina, Alabama, and Mississippi. We've marched together. We've organized together. We've been arrested together. And I came here to say that I can't think of a more important time that we have a unified voice together. Never before in my 24 years in Congress do we face the threat that we face today. There is no one I'd rather share a foxhole with than my friend Josh Hoyt, who's a national leader and a personal friend. And you know, my biggest critics at home in Chicago are also my stalwart friends. And outside of my family, the people who keep me going and keep me fighting are either in Chicago or they're right here in this room and part of this movement. And this movement has now sent me to its own in this new Congress. So I want to say thank you to Seattle and to the pro-immigrant movement for sending Pramila to us in Washington, D.C. And I want to let everybody know that we will take good care of her. I'm proud to know she is joining me and other fighters for immigrants, for fairness, and for justice. The new class in Congress and the last several classes of young leaders who are coming to Washington to fight for immigrants from Phoenix and Florida, Los Angeles, Nevada, New York, they are new leaders in the House who will join us. I wish we had a better 2 or 4 years ahead of us. But Pramila, thank you for stepping up and continuing the fight in your new role. I'm not going to sugarcoat things here with you. We're looking at a very dark time. Even when we had a president who said he was pro-immigrant, we lost more than 3 million people to deportation. So with all due respect to the topic of integration that brings us together, we know we cannot ignore immigrants into our community, and we cannot integrate them if they're being deported. And I think the next several years present a challenge like no other we have faced in recent memory. I'd like to talk about our 3 challenges right now inside and outside of Washington. We have to organize, we have to lock arms with our allies, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize. Let me explain what I mean. Right now, we need to organize ourselves and build the power of this movement to resist the onslaught of the Trump administration and his flying monkeys, Ann Coulter, Jeff Sessions, Chris Kobach, Numbers USA, FAIR, and all the rest of them. We do not know for sure that they will pull the strings in the new administration, but we have to prepare for the worst. We should assume that they're coming for immigrants and that our posture should be that if they try to come for Dreamers or their moms or their neighbors or try to register Muslims or put people in camps and criminalize immigrants, they will have to come through us. Trump says that he wants to deport 2 or 3 million people starting on day one. And he claims that he wants to deport criminals. And we know that the idea that 2 to 3 million undocumented immigrants being serious, violent, dangerous criminals, like a lot of things Trump says, is pure baloney and fantasy. And I want everybody to know, I wrote this text last week. And I want to say this very, very slowly. A mom who is picked up by ICE while driving without a license because her kid is sick and needs to go to the doctor, Trump would label her criminal. We will not. If she comes back after she was deported so that she can raise her family, Trump would label her a criminal. I label her a mom who loves her family. And we need to organize ourselves to fight for that mom and all the others like her who live and work here and raise families, who work 2 jobs or pick garlic in a hot sun and contribute to strong communities. In Chicago, the organizing team has already started. We're going to train people to help defend members of their communities and leverage the leadership of the mayor and Senator Durbin and others to prepare and organize a crew of community defenders. It's not enough to fund the downtown lawyers. We also have to fund the people fighting for the sanctuary policies and against the deportation of our people. We need to build the power of the community to defend itself. And guess what? Whatever we do in Chicago makes the mayor in New York and in Houston and in Los Angeles and a lot of other people take notice. In case you haven't heard, politicians can be a bit competitive. So, Bill de Blasio, Jerry Brown, governors, mayors, city council, the competition is on to see who can be the most powerful and most helpful in protecting our immigrants, because you can't integrate them if they're deported. Even if we are in our own cities and communities, every organization and congregation can play a role in getting ready. If every person targeted by Trump has a lawyer, every person targeted by Trump has a lawyer or a BIA certified defender, or in some cases both, we will have a much better chance of winning their case. Plus, dragging out the process for any individual deportation case will make it harder and harder to bring millions and millions of cases to the courtrooms. Inside the Congress, we also need to organize. And that work has begun with Zoe Lofgren and Lucille Robal Allard as my partners and with a broad group of supporters, hopefully including Pramila just as soon as she gets sworn in. Inside Congress, the resistance is starting with the Dreamers because we cannot stand idle and let his ilk, Donald Trump and his ilk, try to take away one of our key victories under Obama. We fought so hard, and we can't roll over when it's a move to take it away. So I'm working to introduce a bill like the bill Senator Graham and Senator Durbin introduced, the Bridge Act, and to identify a Republican leader to work with us so that it's truly bipartisan on both sides of the hill. But that's just the beginning. Because we cannot defend the Dreamers, we cannot move to defend our community unless we defend everybody that faces the onslaught of deportation. We have always been a coalition that looks at the 11 million undocumented immigrants and their quest and their desire for integration as our goal. I've said this before, 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. I will not rest until every immigrant in this country has the same rights as I have and the same privilege and prerogatives that I have. I've come to this Congress. I left my wife. I left my children. But I am sure of one thing. I'm going to go back to them. I'm going to go back to my home and to my family, to my wife and my children. And I will not rest until every mom that goes to work and every dad that goes to work is just like me, has the certainty that they will be able to return to their children and to their loved ones and to their homes. A coalition that says that if you come for the dreamers, if you come to deport moms and dads, if you want to register Muslims, if you want to cut off legal immigration, you have to come through us first. And by us, I just don't mean the Immigrant and Refugee and Asian Latino Progressive Coalition, but you have to come through women. You have to come through young people. You have to come through environmentalists. You have to come through the LGBT community. And you have to come through the black community. You have to come through all communities that will stand in resistance. We will join arms together and win. If they come after young people who've been organizing for Black Lives Matter, we have to lock arms with them so that anyone is getting thrown under the bus. They must try to throw all of us under the bus. Let us be clear that we need to lock arms beyond our community. When they come to shut down Planned Parenthood, we need to be on the picket line with our allies so that they keep it open for women in this country. We can't have this quote, well, I feel bad for them, but at least they're not coming after me stuff. They're coming for us sooner or later. And the more of us that there are, the more people who think of themselves as part of us, the harder it is for them to target any of us individually. I have told my colleagues in the Hispanic Congressional Caucus we need to be walking arm in arm with the Black Caucus and the NAACP, the LGBT Task Force, and the Human Rights Campaign. You want me to? Well, you know, I just had another couple of pages, but I'll wrap it up. Dame decirle esto para concluir. We have a huge challenge before us. We're going to introduce a bill, the bridge, to protect our dreamers, 742,000 of them. We fought so hard for them. We're not going to let them register with the government and then let the government take that registration and target them for deportation. We're not going to let that happen. But we're also not going to allow our movement to be divided. We're not going to allow our movement to be divided. We're going to fight for their moms. We're going to fight for their dads. We struggled with Obama so that he would use his executive authority. I remember when all of us marched across this country and organized across this country. Y Obama decía, yo no lo puedo hacer, yo no lo puedo hacer, yo no lo puedo hacer. And we said, yes, you can. And yes, he did. He set aside 5 million of us. And now we will fight tirelessly until all 11 million. I didn't go to the Congress to save one person or a dozen person or 100 people. I went to the Congress of the United States to save everybody that has a thirst and that needs to be quenched for justice and for fairness and for wanting to be integrated in this great American. When I was growing up, I was too Puerto Rican to be American. When I went to Puerto Rico, I was too American to be Puerto Rican. I kind of know what it's like to be on the outside. I want to say to the people that came up here to protest, please give us a call. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Let's sit down and have a dialogue. There are millions and millions of lives at stake. I will be going to the border in the 3rd week of January to say to Trump and his administration, those people fleeing as refugees from Central America must be given a safe harbor in the United States of America. I will continue to challenge him And let me just say that I'm going to be with the millions of people, because usually the person with the most votes wins. But that doesn't mean we don't stand up for the majority values of the American people. I'm going to stand up for those values, so I'm not going to the inauguration of Donald Trump. I'm going to get ready to march with 1 million women the next day, and we will march together, and we will fight together, and we will win together. Thank you so much.